going to try to make you forget that we're out of rods. So I'm going to be so excited you're not going to realize you're out of rods. So what we're going to do, I thought, to kind of get things started, is to talk a little bit about backstory, like the 16th century and Martin Luther's time. What do we all know about it? What have we forgot about it? What's the story? So I thought what we'd do is maybe you have in front of you a piece of paper. It's a quiz, it's a game show, and there are prizes. First place prize is an indulgence for 1,000 years off purgatory. Sorry. Okay, so what you should do is get a pen or a pencil handy. Pen or pencil, and copy my P's. Sorry about that, I'm copying my P's. Sorry, pen or pencil. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have the questions, and you guys are going to answer them. We're going to see how you do, and if you win the magical prizes. And in the process, we'll get ready to learn more about Martin Luther. So, we're going to go with our first question now. Pencils ready. It's the 16th century game, like we've all played it before. All right, so the first question is this. It kind of goes to where Martin Luther is in history. Who was born first? Martin Luther, Christopher Columbus, Henry VIII, or Betty White? Tough call, right? We all know Martin Luther was in the 16th century, but... All right. Fill in your blanks. Answer your questions. Again, there are a lot of prizes.
I hope so.
It's the honor system here. Are you ready for the answer? And the crowd goes wild. It is Christopher Columbus, yes. So now I want the math wizard to tell me how old Martin Luther was when Columbus came to America. 9, yes. 8 or 9, yes, exactly. He was. So it's kind of unclear whether Luther actually even knew about Columbus. Although later in life, Luther said this. He said, when he had heard about the New World, he said, maybe what will happen if things don't get better in Germany is that the people in this new world will have to carry the gospel forward because we're not doing it in Germany. Hey, guess what? We're doing that. Okay, next question. Before becoming a monk, Luther was studying to become A, medical doctor, B, a lawyer, C, silversmith, or D, yoga instructor. Now in the Far East, there are a lot of monks who also do yoga, but I'm guessing that's probably not the one here. All right, so what was Luther before he became a monk and before he became the reformer? All right, don't shout out your answer because you're trying to win this game. All right, everybody have their answer filled out? Answer is lawyer. Yes, his father wanted him to become a lawyer. And he was studying to be a lawyer. He would have been a good lawyer, and he decided against it, as we'll learn more. Okay, next question. In Wittenberg, Katie, that's Katie right there, Luther's wife. She had to get a license to do one of the following, which she did have. She was one of the few people in town to have this license. A license to practice law, to cut hair, to pull teeth, or to brew beer. Which did Katie do? Katie Luther. Fill out your answer sheets. Don't let your friends see because they might cheat off of you. The answer is brew beer. Yes, Katie von Borel was the master brewer. And I wish we had some von Borel beer back in the back, but we don't have any, unfortunately. All right, next question. Hope you're doing well. Make sure you mark if you got it right or wrong in the right-hand column. All right, here's the next question. What was Luther's favorite children's book? Martin Luther had a favorite children's book. Was it Grimm's Fairy Tales, Rumpelstiltskin, Aesop's Fables, or Thine Cat in Thine Hat? Luther loved the morality tales of the children's books of his era. You fill out your answers. Yes, the answer is Aesop's Fables. Luther was a big fan of Aesop's Fables. Loved them. All right, I can tell who's got them all right so far. Anybody? Oh boy, here we go. In the back, they're really good over there. All right, next question. Here we go. It is, What staple first arrived in Europe in 1515? This is 2 years before the Reformation began. Was it cane sugar, which gives you migraines, by the way, black pepper, coffee, or Wi-Fi? Probably not Wi-Fi. I'm giving you a hint there. Well, one of these things was not in Europe until 1515. Are you filling out your answer sheets? Are you looking, are you thinking, what did they not have? All right, the answer is coffee. There was no coffee in Europe until 1515. How did they get anything done? This is why the Reformation didn't start until 1517. No one had any coffee. Of course. All right, next question. Question number 6 on our list of 22 questions. Besides Martin Luther, only one other reformer had a church named after him. Was that Johann Presper of the Presbyterians, Menno Simons of the Mennonites, Charles Skopal of the Episcopalians, or Amish Jones? You know, that's a good name, Amish. I should name my kid Amish. That's a good first name. All right, so one of those is a reformer who had a church named after him. The other 3 I just made up. I know, it's a tough one. Are you ready? The answer is Menno Simons. Yes, Mennonites are all named after Menno Simons. Not a popular first name anymore, not right up there with Taylor. Okay, our next question is as follows. This popular 16th century beard style called side whiskers was also born by what U.S. president? Chester Arthur, Warren Harding, Millard Fillmore, or Andrew Jackson? I'm threatening my wife to go with that beard idea. What do you think? Come on, it's awesome. Anyone here have side whiskers? You win an extra prize? Ah, no, it's not side. Okay, answer is Chester Arthur. There it is, the picture. That guy was our president. And you think we had crazy presidents now. All right, next question. Paintings of Luther reveal that he went from very skinny to plus sized shortly after what? That's the before and after of Luther, right? Shortly after he left the monastery, got married, discovered potato salad, or gave up his diet of worms. Diet of worms, no good. The potato salad we're out of, so we can't keep anything in stock. Okay, the answer is easily he got married, right? It's kind of shocking, actually. Luther went from like nothing to big in a very short period of time. I used to be skinny too. All right, next question, number 9. Luther's father, Hans, that's Hans right there. Hans had a brother. His brother's name was Boren, Leofric, Peyton, or Hans. Which one is probably Luther's father's brother's name? It's a tough one. These are all actual 15th century names. Oh, I see the crowd is unsure on this one. All right, you've marked your answers. The answer is Hans. Luther's parents had no creativity and named 2 of their sons Hans. So the only way to keep them straight, and you can probably figure this out if you speak German, one was Gross Hans, and the other one was Klein Hans, yes, small Hans and big Hans. Oh boy, I'm sorry about that. All right, so next question. Luther once walked from from Erfurt, where he lived, or is in a monastery, to Rome. How far was it? Was it the same as here to New York, here being where we sit right now, here to St. Louis, here to Milwaukee, or here to Now what is it? Cairo? Cairo? Cairo, very good, yes. So Luther walked a long distance. The answer is New York City. 800 miles on foot across the Alps. Tell that to your kids when they don't want to walk anywhere. 800 miles across the Alps. And they had no McDonald's. Okay, next question, number 11. Pope Leo had a pet elephant. Yeah, that alone is interesting, isn't it? And what was Pope Leo's pet elephant's name? Was it Bumbo? Was it Buoso? Was it Hanno? Or did he name it Martin? This is probably something no one knows. I found it in a rare archive. Mark your answers. This is a tough one. Pope Leo, who of course was Luther's sort of nemesis, if you will. You'll find out more about that in the film. His elephant was named Hanno. Hanno the elephant. I want to know who put Boso. Boso the elephant. Boso. In Chicago, Boso. Yeah, right. He's a clown. All right, next question. What do you call this 16th century hat? A snake hat? Kind of looks like a snake. A Bayer holder? No, you're German. A roundlet? Or a cavalier? I don't see anyone here wearing one. I'd like one. Mark your answers. The answer is a roundlet. It's called a roundlet. Next question, number 13. Luther had painful kidney stones. I mean, they were bad. I mean, he literally almost died from kidney stones. So if you have that, you have that in common with Luther. He got rid of them on one occasion by either standing on his head, doing 100 somersaults, actually not how you spell somersaults, but riding in a bouncy wagon, or an operation by a barber dentist. How would you get rid of kidney stones in the 16th century? I was going to put up some pictures of kidney stones, but it's just gruesome. They're really sharp and pointy and ugly. All right, you've marked your answers. You've committed. The answer is bouncy wagon. Yep, he rode in a bouncy wagon and got relief. So we don't need Obamacare. We just need bouncy wagons. I thought that would kill. All right, next question. The man in Luther's town who wore this was what? There's the picture. He's either a hangman, a plague doctor, the king in disguise, or the turkey whisperer. Now, how are you going to get turkeys if you don't have a whisperer to sneak up on them? Pretty ugly. Write your answers down, make your decisions, commit. The answer is the plague doctor. The people in the back are doing very well. I think the younger you are, the better they're doing back there. That's you people who are supposed to know this stuff should kind of catch up. All right. Next question. The plague that ravaged Luther's town was brought there by what? The mosquitoes, the lice, the fleas, or the French? What brought the plague to Wittenberg? You'll see images of it today. I have to tell you a funny story. We shot the plague scene you're about to see in the film, and our makeup crew had just come off doing a zombie movie. And so they kind of overdid the plague makeup. And the actors were coming off a zombie movie. So you'll see in the plague, a lot of people kind of, it almost looks like a bad zombie movie, but hopefully it won't look that bad. The answer is the fleas, of course, were what brought the plague. On the back of what animal? Mice and rats, yes. All right, superstitions of the 16th century held that if a monk married a nun, their child would have what? This was commonly discussed because Luther, of course, was a monk, and Kate was a nun, and they married, and there were a lot of rumors about what would happen to their children. Would they have 2 heads, 3 eyes, 12 fingers, or horns? Mark your answers. Commit. Make a decision. The answer is 2 heads. I will let you know that Luther and Katie had 6 children, all with 1 head each. So we can now put that rumor to rest. Excuse me. All right. Our next question. When Luther went to Rome, one time he left Germany. He didn't eat the spaghetti sauce because A, as a monk he could only afford gruel. B, he ate only German food. C, there were no tomatoes in Italy then. Or D, he never really wanted to stay gluten-free. That's a very old tradition in the German monasteries of being gluten-free. I guess the pretzels on their table belie that. All right, so make your decision, think it through. The answer is there were no tomatoes. Tomatoes did not come to Italy until later. So there you have it. So there's no pizza back then either. So that's all right. Next question. Luther played what instrument? The lute, the violin, the harpsichord, or the trombone? He was a very good musician. Of course, he wrote hymns, and he loved incorporating music into the worship service, as you'll learn. And he did play one of these instruments. And you've committed. The answer is the lute. I'm trying to mention Luther playing the trombone. It just doesn't. Now, this is Luther's prince and protector. What was his name? Frederick the Wise, Ferdinand the Lionhearted, John the Just, or Christoph the Corpulent? Choose one. Now, this was one we all learned in grade school, hopefully. Confirmation class. Should all get this right. The answer is Frederick the Wise. Indeed. Yes. All right, next question. Agricola or Agricola, depending on your Latin, was what? Luther's favorite beverage, one of Luther's students and friends, the name of Luther's dog, or the city where he was born? All right, think about it, write it down, give it to your answer. And the answer is, it was one of his friends, who later became sort of his nemesis of sorts. And anybody who can tell me who's Latin, who knows Latin, is it Agricola, or I really want it to be Agricola? No, sorry. Agricola? All right, next question. Second and last question, we have 2 more choices here. In the famous thunderstorm, Luther prayed to St. Anne, who is the patron saint of carpenters, farmers, miners, or electricians. Electricity was very rudimentary back then. St. Anne, patron saint of... You ready? The answer is... miners. Luther's father was a copper smelter and earned him pretty good money, which is why Luther could go to some very good schools, actually. All right, and now your final question. This will determine the winner. Prizes to be handed out, although I hope someone's in charge of that who's not me. All right, final question, 22, here it comes. Which of the following was originally an idea of Martin Luther's? Free parking, the community chest, the luxury tax, or getting out of jail free? Now, I'm going to say, we all know what's getting out of jail free, right? I mean, we all are Lutherans because we realize we are our sins are forgiven. So it's not that. That's the obvious one. It's one of the other 3 that Luther came up with on his own? The crowd is unsure. The answer is the community chest. So the community chest was an idea of Luther's to actually contribute money to people who were needy, and people who were poor, and people who didn't have much. There really wasn't any kind of government safety net. There was no social safety net. It was just people. And it was Martin Luther who first came up with the idea of, well, we have to help out those in need. And I think it's important to add, that's why we're here tonight, right? We want to watch the Luther film, but we're also raising funds for the trip to Guatemala to help people in need. And so hopefully you saw the free will offering, and you had a rod or didn't, either way. But just so you know, I mean, around the country right now, people are watching this film in theaters. They're spending about $10. Just so you know. You're getting it free. This is a great deal brought to you by fine folks here at St. Peter. My sister, of course, is Patty Thomas. She wrestled me down here. Normally, I don't travel as far. So that's the essence of the quiz. I want to know, anybody have 22 rights? Put your hand up when I get to your number. 21, 20, 19. 19, right over there. That is a prize winner. Who's handing out my prizes? Do I have a prize hander outer? I do not. I have to remember who you are. The prizes are back there, aren't they? While we're getting the prizes, anybody missing their glasses? These were recently discovered. Glasses? Anyone? I'll put them right over here. All right, that was 19. Anybody have 18? 18 over there. Who's handing out my prizes? And back there, well, those people. You guys have like all the prizes back there. So they are super fantastic. All right, and that's okay. That's 2. That's 4. There's an envelope.
I've no idea what the prizes are. No, I just got my stuff. Don't know.
I have to say this? Okay. So it turns out, and this isn't me, but the prizes are the centerpieces. So let's do this. The high scorer at your table gets the centerpiece. Work it out amongst yourselves. No fisticuffs, please. But we all know the 19 and 18 scores who are very high. Okay, so we're about to get started rolling the film here. I just want to kind of make one point. I just want to make a point about why we're here tonight, why we're watching a film about Martin Luther, why we study Luther at all. What's the point? Is it just our particular heritage, our particular story? I don't think so. I think the reason that we're looking at Martin Luther is because every person in the world asks themselves one question. The question is, am I a good person? And Luther wrestled with that one. And there's only 2 answers to that question. You either have to say, yeah, I'm a pretty good person, or you have to say, no, I'm not a good person, and what do you do with that? Luther got pretty depressed over that basic human question everybody asks, am I a good person? And so he came to figure out the solution in the Bible, and that solution is pretty awesome. That solution is that we don't have to earn our way to heaven, that it's a gift. And if it's a gift from God through Jesus, then that means that we are free to help others, love our neighbors. And that's what the Guatemala trip is about. It's an attempt to show our love for other people, because we are not in a place where we have to look at ourselves and work out our own salvation. We get it for free. So we're going to talk about the Guatemala trip shortly. Lexi, here you go.
Hi, first of all, we wanted to just say thank you to Mr. Trinklein for coming in and for talking to us and doing the Q&A, so let's give him a round of applause. And also we had some very important people coordinating this for us and coordinating the meal. We were actually told to expect about 75 people, so I'm sorry, your brats are on the way if you don't have one yet. But they've been just wonderful and coordinating this whole thing for us. Patty Thomas, who's in the back. I'm Pam Masufi, who I think is in the kitchen right now, so Pam Masufi. We also have a special guest with us tonight. She is from Guatemala. She is our pastor's wife, and she does so much in our church. Her name is Brenda Barrios, so you can give her a round of applause. Brenda is really an integral part of the church. She works in a lab and does that as her main career, but she is every day serving her community and serving the youth in Guatemala. And you're going to see a quick video that kind of describes the problem that we see in Guatemala and the ways that we try to fix that. And Brenda is on the front lines. She's there every day. She's there giving kids opportunities, jobs, true love, true affection, and giving them just great resources and answers so that they can see Christ in all they do. And so we're just so thankful that you get to meet her, and we're going to go ahead and show the video now so you can get a grasp of what it is.
Sound with it. I don't have to sound.
Many people, when they think of human trafficking, think of someone being taken from their home, something from a Lifetime movie, something extreme and rare. But it's going on all around us, and it's the largest violent crime in the cities that we work in Guatemala, ahead of gun violence. These are women, young girls, and children who are being sold for sex through illegal adoptions and into child labor. The children who are targeted are children who are considered to be disposable by their communities. I've asked law enforcement, youth attorneys, and government security agents over and over if the student missionaries that we bring to Guatemala would ever be at risk for trafficking on our trips. Their answers are always the same. No way. The kids you're bringing are viewed as far too valuable by society. They are looking for children who are viewed as garbage. These children have gone through these horrible, victimizing experiences, but they wind up being the ones that are left with the shame. 57% of victims of trafficking in Guatemala are under the age of 18. The average age that a girl has had her first experience with a John or someone who is purchased for life or sex is 12 years old. There are 48,500 victims of trafficking in Guatemala per year. The victims of trafficking live in a state of fear and are prone to low self-esteem, poor school performance, substance abuse, depression, self-harm, and further exploitation and trafficking. So how do we respond? St. Peter has chosen to respond by partnering with Castillo Birthday to give kids a safe place to be filled with God's Spirit and to be restored in body, mind, and spirit. By educating communities, families, and individuals to know that abuse is not okay. Teaching children to go to the church to reach out for help when they feel ashamed or threatened. And St. Peter Youth visit each year to show the children in the community that relationships do not have to hurt. To show them what real love is. And to show them what real affection is. To help them live without fear and embrace their identities in Christ. To bring them to a place of healing. Encouraging kids to experience their childhoods, turn to hope, and dare to dream. The St. Peter youth who attend these trips fund them entirely themselves. Many of them work all year round to be able to afford to go and serve in Guatemala. The most valuable resource we can bring with us isn't soap or toothbrushes or even clean water, it's our youth. We hope you'll partner with us to support this valuable ministry.
Yeah, so what you saw there is a beautiful example of loving our neighbor, and that is really at the core of what Martin Luther is about as well. I mean, it may seem difficult to tie together something so important as a mission trip to Guatemala and a 500-year-old movement, but in reality, they're really one and the same. They're about loving your neighbor and caring for those who need our care. It's kind of funny how often Luther talked about that. You know, when we learn our catechism, we learn the doctrine, but we often forget that in his own life, Luther really was all about helping other people. He lived poorly, but he was always reaching out wherever he could. And I think that'll come out in the film as we see it. So before we roll the film, any question anybody has? Any quick thought? I don't want to delay our evening. Okay, we'll roll. That's good. The film is an hour and 48 minutes, so get comfortable. Make sure you can, see. We may dim the lights a bit to get the best possible picture. If you drift off, I won't rat on you. So, okay. All right. We're ready to roll.